Most mysteries fade with time. Evidence disappears. Vittnesesti. Whole towns forget the details. 100 years is usually long enough for a story to slip out of reality and drift into legend. But every once in a while, someone comes along who refuses to let a mystery die. Today's story is about a teenage girl who picked up a cold case that everyone else had given up on. A murder buried for a century. A victim whose name had been erased. And a trail of clues hidden in dusty archives, forgotten letters, and a grave with no answers. This is how a girl, still in high school, solved a 100-year-old mystery. Welcome to Truth Trove Stories, where we bring real mysteries back to life. The story begins in a small-town museum, one of those cozy places full of old photographs, antique furniture, and artifacts nobody has touched for decades. A school trip, a bored teenager, and a photograph that didn't fit. It was a portrait of a young woman, maybe 20. Dark hair, sharp eyes, a simple dress. Under it, a small metal tag read, "Unknown female, found 1913. That was it. No name, no story, just a forgotten face. Most people would glance at it and move on. But this girl didn't. Something about the picture bothered her. Why was she unknown? Who was she? What happened to her? A simple question, and the moment she asked it, she stepped straight into a mystery that had been dead for a century. The museum's curator told her the little they knew. In 1913, the body of a young woman was found near an abandoned farmhouse on the edge of town. No ID. No family ever came forward. No one reported a missing girl who matched her description. The police tried to investigate, but it was a different era. No forensics. No prove databasas. No fingerprints on record. Within weeks, the case went cold. Within years, the story disappeared. But the girl from the school trip wasn't satisfied. She decided she would find out who the woman was, no matter how long it took. She started at the local library, then the newspaper archives, then the old courthouse records. Most of what she found was useless. Yellowed paper, old handwriting, reports that barely made sense. But then she found something that stopped her cold. A small article from 1913, barely a paragraph long. It mentioned a young woman found near the abandoned Miller farm. The police called it likely an accident, though the article also mentioned bruises on her wrists. Something wasn't right. She kept digging. Old census records, birth registries, letters that should have been thrown away a long time ago. And then, finally, a real lead. A letter from 1912 written by a woman named Eliza Harper, mentioning her daughter, Clara, who ran away from home and may be heading toward the Miller area. Clara Harper, age 19, last seen the year before the unidentified woman was found. Had she just found the victim's name? It wasn't enough to confirm anything. But then she noticed something small, something everyone else had missed. In the photograph at the museum, the unknown woman wore a locket. It wasn't fancy, but it had an engraving. The photograph wasn't clear enough to read it, so the girl asked to see the actual locket. The museum staff allowed her to take a closer look. Inside, she found 2 letters scratched faintly into the metal. See ha, Clara Harper. This wasn't just a lead anymore. This was evidence. Now the question changed. This wasn't just about who she was. It was about what happened to her. The girl started digging into the Miller farm, a place with a bad reputation even back then. The Miller family was known for fights, alcohol, and a temper that kept the whole town on edge. Rumors, stories, old whispers buried under a century of silence. She found an interview from the 1930s with an elderly man who lived near the farm. He mentioned hearing a terrible fight one night in 1913. Screams, a woman's voice, then silence. No police report, no investigation. Because back then, the Millers were the kind of people nobody wanted to cross. It was starting to look like Clara didn't die by accident. She was murdered, and her killer had walked away without punishment for more than 100 years. To be absolutely sure, the girl convinced the museum and the local sheriff's department to reopen the case and compare DNA. It took months, but when the results came back, they confirmed it. The unknown woman was Clara Harper, missing since 1912. After a century, she finally had her name back. The girl who started with a school trip had now done what an entire town couldn't. She solved the identity. She solved the mystery. She restored a forgotten life. The town held a small memorial service. Clara finally received a proper grave with her real name. People who had never met her, people born decades after she died, came to honor her. And as for the girl who solved the mystery, she didn't stop. She went on to study history and forensic research, because that's what this journey turned her into, someone who understood that the past never truly disappears. It just waits for the right person to uncover it. Most mysteries fade with time, but every now and then, one waits for someone brave enough and curious enough to ask the right question. Thanks for watching Truth Trove Stories. If you enjoy stories like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay with us for more mysteries brought back from the forgotten corners of history.